the Breakfast Club interview recently with Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes.
What is it like, seeing him on Breakfast Club in 2019, going into 2020, doing such a magnificent job at articulating himself, and at the same time, we're not used to seeing brothers speak like that in mainstream media. And he talked about that on the Breakfast Club as well. But what was that like for y'all?
This is why we love Umar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is why Umar is widely, initially he had that impact and connection across the board in communities. That's why he was at certain points the most requested, lecturer or teacher around according to him, around the globe, because he has the power of articulation. And there's nothing like a melanated man with a command of language. You know what I'm saying? That within itself is a weapon. So when we seen him, go in like a ninja, and that Leo, where he's the master at fitting so much compacted information in a short amount of time. He's the master of sound bites. He's the master of compacting short amounts of information in a little amount of time and working the room. I get a lot of, tips in terms of how to articulate and command the room from Dr. Umar. He goes on a Breakfast Club and he commands those conversations. I always walk away learning something. And regardless of what people may say about him or how they feel about him, you should be excited for the people in the audience that are potentially going to walk away learning something at the end of the day. Because the conversation that he brings is not the conversation that you hear every day. He puts focal points on certain things that we need to look at. And one of the main focal points, like I said, we get excited and incited about the effects of things all the time. So just last week, the community was running around talking about mental health and prescription drugs and these children and the youth, right? But here you go. And then I listened to Juice WRLD's interview on Breakfast Club. And he said, I was introduced to meds in school by way of Ritalin because he got diagnosed as a baby. How many of our children are going through this? So you can't get out here and bang on these babies about their prescriptions without acknowledging the fact that they got turned out at an early age based on this particular institution that pipelines the children to psychiatrics and then pipelines them to prison.
What did Umar tell Charlamagne about? What did he tell him about the mental health? Because Charlamagne asked him about the mental health.
He got
careful. Be careful of
because of the
drugs.
Psychiatric component. Psychiatrists are there to prescribe you drugs. So you talking about lobotomizing and psycholizing these minds with all these psychoactive drugs that have all these effects that's worse than the issue that you came in there with.
Look at Kanye.
So we cannot send the black community to untrusted sources of psychiatry, especially when they white. And he was also explaining the point of how, of course, the history of psychology and psychiatry is doled in racism. Oftentimes you get misdiagnosed with when you go to Wade D. Nobles, he talk about African psychology. You know what I mean? How that's different than white psychology. And how for one that whites created psychology because when they got it from Kemetic, but when they seen the African study and also the spirit and not just the mind, but they didn't believe in the unseen, so they studied just the mind. So they took that and ran with it, but when it came to diagnosing black people, you had a lot of these racist psychiatrists or a brother coming there with an issue, he's being diagnosed as bipolar or schizophrenic. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing that whites were being diagnosed with, and we don't have the same, we cannot measure ourselves through a Freudian system as well as psychology. We don't have the same makeup when it comes to our culture and what these things mean as the translation of them. So we have to be careful on all levels, for one, being prescribed medicines for our issues. So he talked about talk therapy. You understand me? And also naturopathic medicine. You understand me? As remedies. We have to do things that go back to how our ancestors deal with those remedy of issues. Maybe that brother not bipolar, but going through a spiritual transition. You understand me? Maybe he need to go through some ayahuasca to kick himself on the opposite side. Ayahuasca. They not gonna allow, what's the aruba roots? What's those roots called? The orange one in Africa. Ebola roots. They won't allow that for heroin treatment.
Right.
You understand me?
And it works.
It's effective.
And it's effective. So we already know that the system is not built. They make, for one, the first drugs that they legalized were left brain drugs, not right brain drugs. You understand me? So these children that have undeveloped minds taking all this Ritalin, it's a difference between someone who's of age with a developed mind. They take it, they can get focused. These children, their minds are not developed, so they just be lobotomized. They can't move. Their brain is supposed to still be developing, and you throwing chemicals that mess up that development. So it's dangerous. That whole institution is racist, and it's a capitalist institution that's meant to make money. So yes, mental health is a very important topic because, for one, we have no facilities that black men and black women can go to. And those average men that's walking around with his eyeballs popped that used to be normal a year ago, and you trying to figure out why is he a ghost in the shell of his old self? Because he done went through all these issues and just been called crazy. That's not your crazy uncle. That's someone who has issues that was never been able to go through, that he had to suppress, and by not having the ability to express himself causes those depressions and those issues to where his energy can't flow through his body. So we have to go back to looking at our family as human beings, for one. Because when a white person has an issue, it's a mental issue. We have an issue, we crazy, we criminal, we violent.
Or
we don't even,
generational.
we don't even get to be seen as human beings with issues. And I know in the black community, that's probably one of the hugest issues. There's too many black men walking around that have issues that never be dealt with. Never. So they can't be around their family no more. They don't know how to deal with it. They can't be at the job because it's homelessness. The homelessness causes the violence. They go into the prison. They get thrown in the holes. They come out even worse. It becomes a cycle. They got to keep going back. And they're not dealing with none of this. And nobody has empathy for the black man. Nobody got empathy for the black man walking around crazy. We say that's a criminal instead of somebody that has a mental health issue. You see a white boy that used to be normal, functioning in society, you understand me, affluent, intelligent, articulate. A year later, he's down in the dumpster, you know what I mean, doing criminal acts. We say, oh, he got an issue.
That's a side
crisis. Yeah, we got to rehabilitate this man. There's something wrong with him. The black man ain't giving that. We say, no, he's a career criminal now. Throw him in jail, into the private prison industry where he becomes a slave. So we shouldn't become slaves because we have mental health issues. Nah, but that means that we have to care about each other as human beings in a human family and look at each other as brothers and sisters, because you only care about family. You don't care about just a nigga walking down the street staring at you crazy because he got a mental health issue that's never been talked about nor diagnosed from the time when he was in school, you understand me, to high school and then into the streets. But a lot of us have PTSD. And the brother was talking about how these things follow us, generations. You understand me? Into our family, into our DNA.
Yeah. Look, shout out to Charlemagne on his interview with Meek Mill. Okay, Meek Mill did an amazing job of explaining the psychological mental issues that you develop living in these neighborhoods.
We all got it in some manner.
You know what I'm saying? And the brother, just like I heard the interviews with Juice WRLD, just like I just heard music from NBA Youngboy, all of these, just like Lil Uzi Vert and them, these young children are reaching out and asking to be helped, right? All has been saying for forever and a day, yo, the youngsters don't listen, they in a world all to themselves. No, the youngsters is crying out for help right now. They want to be counseled, they want to be spoken to, they want you to step up and, fulfill your role as a man in society. Stop passing the buck, thinking that, little nigga got figured out on his own. No, your job is to reach back.
You're the big
right? Or your job is to be lateral enough with people that are in your company that you make sure that everyone is on a level, especially if all of these young brothers need is somebody to talk to.
And they're so in tune with their intuition that if you listen to them, they have a spiritual compass that we didn't recognize in earlier youth. When we was in the streets having fun and playing, we weren't talking about our emotions, our intuition with each other, and being deep dived into it, but also they grew up not just getting the information from their parents and TV. They do independent research. So when you think that a young person should be, is not where they at. Because now what has entered into their universe's atmosphere is information and knowledge that allows them to think deeper and farther into subjects. So when they talking about, their emotions, they speak and articulate their intuitions in a manner that I haven't seen no generation do. You understand me? So we also, for one, you have to acknowledge the brilliance of where they are, the component that they're missing. they're missing is the masculinity. The masculinity allows you to rise above your emotions into the thinking of God. What is God? God is logic and consciousness, rationality. So it allows you to understand yourself. You understand me? But when they're black, they don't know themselves.
Give me an example of somebody who has displayed this emotional element and this masculine element that you're talking about, because it seems as though we always get individuals that have one or have the other. So give me an example that we may reflect on.
I would say if you listen to 444, Jay-Z did a great job when he talked about his ability, the things that was happening in his marriage. And you found a balance between like, oh, this is a boss billionaire, bruh, you know, do business, things of that nature. But wait a minute. Now he's going through these things to where he has to address himself. And he even talked about when he sees somebody else, he recognized like that was some PTSD things to where I see somebody else and they may have issues. You understand me? And I'm seeing myself in them. And that's why I'm getting mad at them. So I think that when you look at Jay-Z, Nipsey Hussle at the same time. Nipsey Hussle, his relationship with Lauren London, when they had their interviews, he showed a softer side to where he wasn't afraid to show that. But you knew that was also a celebration of masculinity, but he wasn't afraid to articulate how he felt. You understand me? In front of the woman and not being too cool. And he would dive into what those emotions were and understanding that. So I would say Nipsey Hussle and Jay-Z have been great examples at showcasing, oh, wait a minute. And especially when it's dealing with women and just dealing with your emotions, period, that I'm supposed to talk these things out. I'm supposed to figure these things out. I'm not supposed to just get mad and say, I'm mad, you know, and don't have the ability to go through them and suppress them. No, they put their feelings out there, but not in a manner that made them seem feminine.